Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with yet another one of my mad reaction videos. This time I thought I'd do a couple of things. Initially I thought what I'd do is I'd react to this video of Torino's top goals, best goals and that kind of thing, but for each goal I'll pause it and talk about some of my goals for the club, and I also hope to read from and hear from Torino fans about what their goals are for the club. I'm looking at it from a unique angle as a fan of Italian football generally, who wants to see Italian teams do well in Europe and internationally and that kind of thing for the good of Italian football generally. So my views will probably be very different to someone who just supports Torino, doesn't and it like even hates other Italian teams maybe, but I love all the Italian teams with my madness. So as the other thing I want to do differently is I remember my chain of thought. I might react to two videos because they're fairly short. They're about between 4 and 5 minutes, just over 4 minutes long. So so yeah, hopefully it won't be too long. I'm trying not to waffle too much, and I'm going to try and play the clip. And for each goal I see, I'm going to try and press play. Sorry, rather the opposite. Pause it and react to what I see. So please check out the Serie A official channel, and this one is called The Best Goals of Every Team, Torino, Top 10 Goals, Serie A. So please check that out on the Serie A official channel, or even if you type in like Torino's top goals, you'll probably see some of those videos. You'll see a few of them on Serie A. So I hope you'll check them out, as many of them as possible, especially Italian football fans or those who are interested in learning about Italian football. For me, it's like a nostalgia thing. I supported Italian football ever since I was young, and they were about the best club teams, at least, and amongst one of the best countries. So unfortunately it's gone downhill. So it goes back to those glory days as soon as possible, preferably, and hopefully Italian teams, thinking about Italian teams generally, I hope they can become the top league in terms of winning the most trophies in Europe or even internationally. I suppose European teams are normally the top because of the money they have and stuff like that. So I'd love to see them have investment but that's more generically. But anyway, I'm going to roll this first one. So the first one is the best goals of every team, Torino, top 10 goals. I'll probably post the link in the description, hopefully ASAP, and also especially on YouTube. So anyone watching on Facebook, please, if anyone is watching on Facebook, which I hope they are, please check out my YouTube if you haven't already done so. And then the second one I'll do is every club's top 10 goals, Torino highlights of the season, which is from last year. This is from 9 months ago, so almost a year ago. It's probably both of them are probably from last season, but or maybe the other one is from the beginning of this season, I'm not sure. But anyway, here goes. So as I say, I'd love to see Italian teams get as much investment as possible, and the club teams like, in this case, both Serie A and Torino, let's say, to get as much money from their YouTube videos. So I hope as many people as possible will subscribe to them, like people of Italian descent, people from Italy itself, people of Italian descent, my fellow Eurasians and whatnot, even neurodiverse people perhaps, and as many people as possible who are into football, I hope will subscribe to and check out the Serie A channel's videos and like their videos and stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully that will help them financially, and I hope they'll reinvest that into buying even better players and investing in the club. Thought I'd use the time for that advert to say that one.
Radonjic skips through the defence, laid off to Vlasic, back towards Radonjic.
So that was a great team goal. Teamwork makes the dream work, I suppose. A lot of time when I see goals, I think maybe their defending wasn't as good, so I to it. I think that because I play in defence, and like Italian football's known for defence. But although I'd love to see Italy develop more great midfield and striking players as well, and players in every position really. See, I'd love to see Italian football become more attacking, but also have good defenders as well. So the defenders stay back and let the more creative players go forward and attack. I'd love to see midfielders be more attacking. Italy to try and get the ball more forward, and also perhaps learn from Spanish football in terms of passing the ball and that kind of thing. But I think working as a team is really important. And I think the next goals I'll try and only say one goal for each, one goal I have for the club symbolically for each goal they score. I hope that makes sense, but I thought I'd do something different.
Brilliant finish! Torino take the lead after 28. Radonjic.
So I was going to say with the last goal, I would love to see Italy produce, as I often say, like the next Zidane, Zizou, what do we call him, Ronaldo, and players like that. Some of the best players, like both the Brazilian and Portuguese, Ronaldo and Messi, Maradona, and Pele and George Best, and players like that. I'd love to see Italy produce or help to develop those sorts of players. Talking about made in Italy, for Italy to sort of make those players, as in mould them, in terms of training and former and possibly even current, if at all possible, players to go into schools and like do coaching. It'd be cool to have like a former player or even a current player, sometimes being your PE teacher, at least part time. Footballers are obviously busy, but if they have some time to go and coach and maybe even coach their own teams, especially like I say when players retire, that's something they could do, is like coach in their community. Although I know they say the best footballers are not always the best coaches because it's a different sort of skill. Try and pass those skills on to younger players or whatnot to teach other people. But I think giving opportunities for youngsters to practice, make mistakes, and learn from their mistakes, and like not discourage, especially more creative players. Like if Italy wants to produce the next and make the next Zidane or whatnot, Ronaldinho and players like that, Ronaldo, and that kind of thing, is to give them opportunities to practice and learn as much as they can, to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. I'm sure when they were younger they made a lot of mistakes, but to try different skills and not be scolded for making those mistakes, but to be encouraged to do so. But I'd love to read and hear any suggestions of how Italy could make or produce or create, or whatever word you want to use, those sorts of players, including obviously clubs like Torino and others, for both the club teams and the national team. I think it'd be interesting to read any suggestions on that.
And a goal on his debut. Torino have had the better chances in this game.
And as I talked before about, I would love to see Torino acquire investment from shareholders, equity holders, or whatnot, from Tata, Toyota, Tesla, and others that have been with T, and even like places like Tokyo. Although a bit of a dilemma because I'd love to invest in their rivals, Juventus, but given like alliterations that I talked before about, and thinking about what I was going to say before about helping to develop, make, create, or produce players like Pele, Kante, a lot of players like that. Given that they're black, hopefully relations can be improved between Italians and black people through football, as I often mentioned, and seeing what black people can contribute to Italian football, like migrants getting opportunities to play football. And I think Italy should play with whoever's best, like wherever they're originally come from, just like France does. They've had many players from from Africa, and I wouldn't mind seeing that for Italy if it meant Italian teams winning. I'm not saying they should just play black players or African players or whatever, but I think if they are the best, working together as a team. Obviously, having individual talent is not always as good as working together as a team, being a team player and that kind of thing. But to produce the next Pele, Ronaldinho, or many of those other players from like Kante and Henri and people like that, and even like Ronaldo and many other Brazilians have. Obviously, I'm thinking the Brazilian Ronaldo have African ancestry as well. I think obviously Brazil's very mixed, so it has so a lot of them have African ancestry. Yeah, so giving those opportunities to, and I think having a wider pool of talent Another thing is like having a skills or talents sort of thing. So as Australia has a points-based system for migration, and Nigel Farage probably not the best example. I know not everyone's got a team, but he's a bit of a, as we would say in the UK, a Marmite character. Either, and in other words, people either hate him or love him. Normally, I'm a bit indifferent to it, but I think he has some quirky traits that are interesting. But anyway, he talked about Britain having a skills-based system, but for Italy, I would love for Italy to have a skills-based system or talent-based system for those who are good at football, as I say, because I only support Italy in the football. So it'd be interesting to see how they could help to make, create, develop, produce, or whatever term you want to use, those sorts of players, and how migration could help, as I say, if some of the migrants can be involved in the football team, just like with France, as I say, and hopefully Italy can produce those great players. I say, but I know that some Italians probably wouldn't want to see that. But to me, as long as it helps the town teams to win, I don't think it should matter too much if they are naturalised citizens, as in, if that's the right word. So if they come to Italy and they become citizens of Italy, I think it shouldn't really matter where they originate from. It helps, just like France, they've won quite a few things. They've gone quite far in tournaments with a lot of diversity. So I think that could be a positive thing for tag football. Because that was quite a good header, but as I said in another point, like I know I've not been reacting to the goal so much rather than talk about my own goals for the club. But and again, I'd love to read from and hear from actual Torino fans who only support Torino, unlike this mad guy here, who supports all the Italian teams, but and Celtic as well. But on that note, Torino fans think of Celtic, and what Celtic fans think of Torino as well. But as I said, I'd love to see improved relations between Town Football and Celtic as well. But yeah, I wonder if the defenders could have got closer to him. But my dreams and goals for Italian teams like Torino, including Torino, obviously, is to see them acquire as much investment and sponsorship and just general money and funding as possible legally within the rules of the game. So it'd be cool if they could look at creative ways. And I talk a lot about like neurodiverse people, like people with dyslexia, ADHD, and related conditions, using our strengths, like out of the box thinking, to benefit Italian football. So look at all the possible legal ways, maybe discussing with FIFA and UEFA, all the possible legal ways they can acquire investment, just like I'd love to see with Celtic, so they don't fall foul of the rules as well, but they can still get that investment to bring in the best possible players. And in Italian team's case, to develop youth. And I'd love to see Italian teams like Torino do as well as possible in Europe and internationally. Again, I know that's a point I've mentioned quite a few times, but yeah, neurodiverse strengths, creativity, and that kind of thing could be something that could be used, like out of the box thinking and that kind of thing. And one neurodiverse trait is, I forget my train of thought, but yeah, so I'd love to see them get as much investment as possible legally, and it would probably be good for FIFA. That was the point I was going to raise. It would be good for FIFA and UEFA. Yeah, I know it's a point I raised before, but to bring in more money into football, obviously that would benefit those who run FIFA and UEFA. So they would get more money as well, and it would help to promote football even more, which I'm sure FIFA, UEFA, and others would want to do. So it's something maybe Italian football and Celtic could work with them on, as long as obviously they do it within the law and within the rules and that kind of thing. So I hope that makes sense. Please let me know what you think of each of these goals and this video, and also this video itself, the original video, the Serie A video, what you think of Serie A or Italian football generally, or if you'd like to learn more about Serie A and Italian football generally at club and country level. And also, yeah, I hope we can get more people into football, especially Italian football, Celtic. And also, please let me know what you think about this video as ever, like any constructive criticism, positive points of view, and that kind of thing. And as I mentioned in my last video, I love people to give me a mark or rating or score or whatever you call it, out of 100. So it would be interesting to see what people think of this video, or even if you just let me know in the comments. Again, constructive criticism, disliked about my own personal reaction video and the original video as well. I think that'd be interesting. Please also let me know any tips on. Please post any tips on like how Italian football teams like Torino and Tricolor national team, and I suppose as a Celtic fan as well, Celtic itself as well. As a side note, can improve. If you have any tips on how they can improve, and also how I can improve my content as well. Again, constructive criticism, I suppose, covers that. But yeah, please do post those sorts of things in the comment section, either on Facebook, Antric, or on YouTube. That'd be pretty interesting to read. So I'm not getting myself in the camera properly, but yeah. So anyway, we'll clip again. Another thing is, how can Italian football, I suppose this comes under improvements, but how can Italian football become more attacking? Can they be more adventurous, enterprising, and that kind of thing? And I have to mention like, what they could learn. What could they learn from the Liga, the EPL, and others? I think that'd be interesting to read as well. So if anyone has any tips on those and how to market Italian football better, again, what it could improve in any sort of area. Also, talking about goals generally as well, I'd love to see Torino and Serie A and Italian teams generally get as many views as possible, and likes and subscribers and that kind of thing on YouTube, and like also to see their TikToks do well. And talking about Italy generally, again, something I talked about a while back, but I want to include this in these goals as well, which is that I'd love for Italy to be like the football version of the Swiss, so to be able to be neutral and acquire investment from the rest of the world for like from all around the world. If I'm really dreaming, I'd love for like all possible places, areas, cities, towns, villages, entire nations, and that kind of thing to have their own sovereign wealth funds, and basically investment funds and things like that, and all to invest in Italian football teams that begin with the same letter due to alliterations or same sort of letters initially, because sometimes there are more than one Italian team with the same letter, like Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and that kind of thing. I know it's another one of my mad dreams, but so yeah, as many possible investors to invest in Italian teams, as I say, that begin with the same letter and that kind of thing. But I mean, that's just an idealistic sort of scenario. Obviously, it could be. I welcome any investment done into Italian football as long as it's for, as similar with Celtic, as long as it's for the short and long term benefit. I hope that will make sense. But yeah, I'd love to know as well whether you'd be interested in checking out like Serie A videos and the content, and also Torino and other Italian clubs as well, and Celtic as well. And I hope they'll get as many, as I say, I hope they'll get as many subscribers as possible. Italian teams like Torino and also Celtic as well, and also maybe even the national team. And I hope they can, as I say, even the national team, the F.I.G.C, I hope they can monetize their YouTube if they haven't already done so. I think they have already done so, but I hope it won't just go to shareholders' pockets. I hope it'll be used to improve the development of football, and then they can help to produce, create, or make, or whatever word you want to use, those next best players like the next Messi, Ronaldo, and that kind of thing. I'd also love to know what people think. I hope that won't be too harsh, as I often say, but I'd love to know what people think about Italian football. Is it still too defensive? Do you think the goals are great? Do you think the defending's great? What are some things you don't like about it? What are some things you do like about it? Do you think the kits are the best, or do you think I'm being biased in thinking that? I'm not normally into fashion, as I often say, but I still think the Italian football kits are the best. But again, maybe I'm being biased. Maybe they're my blue tinted spectacles, i.e., Italy plays in blue. So I'd love to know what other people think as well, honest opinions and that kind of thing in the comment section. Response video to this, to me, or whatever. Even if you want to make your own reaction videos, I welcome that, especially if you post them in the link and let me know about them.
Into the top corner. Croatian.
Gotta admit, I've kind of run out of goals, but I'd say with Torino, to put it simply, I'd love to see them get as much investment as possible and do as well as possible, especially in Europe or internationally. I'd love to see just the Italian team do well in Europe and internationally, and see the best possible players, coaches, managers, coaching staff, directors of football, dietitians, and whatnot to help Italian teams. And also, I'd say former players, perhaps, and even maybe current players, especially when they retire, they become former players, being maybe PE teachers. I think that would be interesting. They're PE teachers and they coach and manage their own teams in Italy, or youth teams in Italy, obviously, or even adult teams, maybe. And I'd love to know what you think about, if I dare ask, what you think about my voice. Is it like quiet? Is it monotone? Is it right volume? Can you hear me clearly enough? I suppose you can't, probably won't be able to answer that. And also the volume, what do you think is the ideal level for the videos I react to? Like sometimes I put them on number 6, but in this case it's number 8, so I wonder if it's too loud, if it's not loud enough. I know some of the commentators are quite loud and that kind of thing, but yeah, I'd love to know that kind of thing, if it's too loud and true or not loud enough or whatever. So any feedback I say on that note, like if you think I should turn them higher, the volume, so you can hear it more, or if it's too loud, or anything like that, would be interesting to know. So if you made it this far, thanks so much for listening to me waffle. And I would love to know answers to all those questions. I know I did ask quite a few, so I hope you remember. I suppose I asked more questions than offered goals or things like that. But my goals are pretty simple: to see as much investment, sponsorship, and just general money and funding as possible, legally and within the rules, so they don't get fines or they don't get penalised and stuff like that. Improve relations with African countries and things like that, the rest of the world through football, being military neutral, so that being the Swiss version of football in terms of the national team and Italian football generally, and that kind of thing. And Italian teams doing well in Europe or internationally, bring in the best possible players and coaches and that kind of thing. So I suppose that's pretty much my goals for Italian football teams like Torino, in a nutshell. But again, I'd love to know what you think, and I think that covers everything. Yeah, I hope people remember the questions I asked, and or maybe you could even watch the video again and pause each question and answer those ones. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to know what people think. Hopefully, again, you won't be too harsh, but any constructive criticism is welcome, as I say, and positive encouragement as well is welcome as well. What do you think neurodiverse people can contribute to Italian football and Celtic? I'd love to know that as well. And I'm out. Peace out.